is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into 21 Questions. I'm Jordan Foote. Kent Swanson is with me. We're going to answer some awesome questions this week. Super excited to chat. Kent, what's up, buddy?
Jordy, I'm excited to do this with you. I think you did a wonderful job introing this show. Fantastic work here. Excited to get 21 Questions going. How are you today, though? How are you?
I'm good, man. I got in the Discord. That is how you can join the 21 Questions party. Subscribe to the KCSN Substack. You're going to get some really good stuff in the Discord. Lots of game day chats, literally anything under the sun. Talk with a bunch of cool people. Talk with Kent, if that's your thing, too. He pops in there from time to time. So I'm doing good every 4 years, and I'm excited to chat, man.
I've been better about getting into the Substack. I will say that. Yeah. So the Discord I made. So just give me a little bit of credit here. But let's get into these questions. Our guy Grayson asked a great question off the top. Could the Chiefs add what Chris Jones has missed from missing training camp to his new contract to make his agent feel better about the overall contract numbers? And do you think there could be handshake deals like that throughout the league with the new rule for missing training camp? I'll let you start. I have some thoughts.
I mean, I think they could, theoretically, like if they really wanted to, and it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, he is willingly passing on this money because he thinks he can get it back either on the tail end of whatever he gets done with the Chiefs or when he gets a contract signed with another team in the spring/summer, he can get it back. But like in terms of a handshake deal, I feel like you have to have a lot of goodwill built up with your team in order to do that. The case that I would bet that it could happen would be Chris Jones and the Chiefs, but I still don't think it's going to be like commonplace or anything close to it quite yet.
I don't think the Chiefs will add what is reported to be, I think he's lost by all indications, $3 million to this point.
$3 million?
I don't know the exact math, and maybe it's some of the other holdouts from earlier in the offseason, some of that kind of stuff. I don't know the exact how it all breaks. I thought it was a little bit less than that. I do not think the Chiefs will bend to that request if it does pop up. I think $3 million is something they're probably haggling over right now that's keeping things from getting done.
Yeah.
So to say that they're going to add $3 additional million to the contract to kind of more or less negate it, I mean, it's hitting the salary cap.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think they'll make that move personally, just because. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons there. Negotiation tactics wise, I don't think they'll hold strong and hold firm, and Chris is going to have to eat that $3 million that he just moved on from. Grayson Jaspers asked if Trey Smith's medical history could lower his market slightly when he does hit free agency. What do you think, Jordy?
I don't think so. Like unless it was something pre-draft that a team had whatever they did or didn't find and thought, okay, this guy's someone we're going to pass on, and he did slide pretty darn far into day 3 of the draft where the Chiefs found him. Stuff like that probably doesn't necessarily go away. So I think it could be team dependent. But then lowering the market versus some teams straight up being out, but the ones that are in based on his play, they still pay for him. Like, you know what I mean? It's a tough one. He isn't going to have a crazy market anyway because he is an upper echelon player quite. Like he's just a really solid right guard right now. So I'm going to lean no. I think the teams that were out on him coming into the draft might still be relatively out medically when it comes to free agency. Other than that, I don't think it's going to impact his market in terms of dollar signs too much.
It could. I mean, like I believe there were. I don't think every team cleared Trey Smith when the draft went down. So maybe the market. I don't know. That'll be fascinating to see how it navigates. He'll be an interesting case study because he's definitely earned a good chunk of change. GB Jomo asks, how does a suspension affect the salary cap for a player? So I have done some level of research on this, and Jordy, it sounds like you look like you might be prepared. And correct me if I'm wrong. Are you prepared?
A little bit. Like I think I looked at a couple other suspensions, and I want to know if what I saw there also applies to this. So I'll give it to you.
I believe the base salary of a player kind of comes back to them. I don't think it comes back to them this season. I believe it will come back to them next season, if I'm correct.
I think so too.
But the base salary, I believe, can be recouped for cap purposes. So that's my understanding of it. Do you have a different understanding?
No, I think so too. So his base salary is $1,080,000. That breaks down to 63,000 and change per game. So he's going to get 375, 380, 380 something back to the Chiefs. I saw like Zeke got suspended or whatever it was. There were a few other ones where it voids the guarantee for the rest of the year on that contract. So I don't think that necessarily applies to Omenihu, but it did in some other cases. I guess the nature of the suspension also might have something to do with it. So they'll get back the base salary cap, like in terms of his base salary hitting, I think, like you said, next year. There doesn't seem to be like a forfeiture of his signing bonus or anything. So it's not going to be a big amount compared to what they have now. It's going to be somewhat substantial, but, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like they're going to be rich or flush with cash just because he got suspended for 6 weeks.
Bruce in the 4 asks, do you think that this, and I think this meaning some of the things that Eric Bieniemy has been going through with some of the media reports, was unable to land a head coaching position? So I think it's a very nuanced question. I don't think, there's a difference. I think there's a difference between what you're seeing on the field right now and what the culture shock the Washington Commanders are experiencing right now and the process by which an NFL coach gets an NFL job. I think that there are definitely sentiments that maybe aren't the most appealing at times to some of the decision makers in NFL organizations. EB is a hard-nosed coach. I think it's been well documented. He's going to coach you hard and he's going to be your biggest fan simultaneously. I think that is probably going to, reveal itself during this whole Washington experiment. I could see, so I don't know if maybe some of the tactics aren't as appealing to the decision makers. From what I've understood, he just hasn't interviewed well. And I know that sounds like a very, not blanket. It sounds like a cop out, but that there's several teams have interviewed him and several teams have walked away saying, hey, the interview wasn't the cleanest, wasn't the best. He wasn't able to effectively communicate the vision for the team, that kind of stuff. If there's a trend there, I don't know. So I don't think that these things are what kept him from getting a job, but I could see, these things maybe not being the most appealing to some of these coaches. I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
Yeah, so I think 3 things off of it. This, quote unquote, is either going to prevent him now from getting a job in the future, or it's going to be what helps him propel to getting a job. Some team could say, hey,
yes,
we want that type of guy leading our team. Secondly, I think the interviewing thing, I've heard stuff like that too. And it's not like people have come out straight up and said, hey, this guy sucks at interviewing, we can't hire him. But it's not 1 interview. It's not 2. It's not 3. This guy's been around the block multiple times in multiple cycles when it comes to head coaching interviews. And then also, I think part of it is, hey, I have to get out of Andy Reid's shadow, install my own system, and show that it's my show and that I can be a competent guy leading a team as an offensive mind as a former running back. So there's multiple elements in it. It does suck for him because obviously you want to see people. If you get that many interviews, man, you'd think one team would crack or jump at it and say, okay, let's do this. Still hasn't happened for him. He's young enough to where it can still, and I don't think Ron Rivera is in a great spot in Washington as is. But there's multiple reasons why, I think.
Casey Chris asks, if Derek Carr was an actual car, what kind of car would it be?
I had an 01 Ford Taurus as my first car. It was boring. It got the job done. It wasn't very appealing, but under duress and as it aged, it got kind of spazzy and unreliable. I don't know if that's necessarily Derek Carr, but Carr is probably 85-90% of Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins is kind of in that same mold. So whatever that would be.
I had a unnecessarily loud Toyota Corolla. Something like the exhaust or something. I know I'm not a car guy, but I know you can do stuff to an exhaust to make it louder than it needs to be. And it's you're a Toyota Corolla. Why are you trying to have an exceedingly loud exhaust, or what are you trying to do here? Like, you're a Toyota Corolla. That's just what you are. Like, you're not a high powered, sports car. You're a Toyota Corolla. And look, I'll drive, there's nothing wrong with Toyota Corolla. It's safe. It's, it's relatively reliable.
But you don't go to the Indy 500 with your Toyota Corolla and try to win the race.
Yeah.
You just drive it down the road.
And sometimes the Toyota Corolla's brothers are also obnoxious. Casey from KC. We all know Craig KCSN, the Renaissance Man, is great. Has he written a symphony lately, or failing that, who are KCSN's favorite classical music composers? Do you have any classical music composers?
I like listening to old time music, like Dean Martin, Chet Baker, that type of stuff. Like, not that old time. Like, I don't go all the way back and listen like Beethoven's Eighth Symphony or any of that stuff.
It's like the closest, like Stevie Wonder, I guess, for me. Like, that's the closest thing I have to that. I literally, like, you could say a guy and I'd be like, is that a painter or a composer? I couldn't tell you. Like, Chopin, that's a thing.
Yeah,
I think Chopin's a thing. That sounds, like that sounds like a thing. Gucci, is that a composer?
And we're not crapping on the question. We just don't know. We just have.
No.
This is an area of weakness.
He knows.
Yeah,
he did this.
This is an area of weakness for me.
He knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly what he was doing. We're going to answer more questions. Craig is great, and we're going to answer more questions right after this break.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Our guy Joel at Penfield asks the favorite overreaction take from the game on Sunday that might actually be closer to reality. Well, this is a really good one.
I think people overreacted about Clyde Edwards-Helaire having a role in the offense to start the game. Part of it's because Isaiah Pacheco was out and Jerick McKinnon needs to be on ice until week 9 or 10 of the season, probably. But he's not going anywhere. I don't think he's getting traded. I don't think he has much of a trade market. I think the Chiefs' perception of him and the Chiefs' investment in him and the Chiefs' liking of him is way different than what the fans think and what they want. And you can apply that to multiple people on the team. But if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there, he knows the offense. He is still a receiving back with a little bit of oomph in that area of the game. People forget the first few weeks of last season, he was effective in whatever role they put him in. And then he got hurt, and that's been the song and dance with him. Is he going to be RB1? No. Is he going to be RB2? Probably not. Like, he might get the snaps for it on a few games or whatever, but is he going to be buried on the depth chart and inactive all season? I just don't think that's going to happen. So people overreacted and got upset about it, but I would say push back a little bit and admit that he's probably going to be involved all year long.
Do you want to know why I think they featured Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first preseason game?
I don't know. Why?
Because he was home, Jordy. Like, he was home.
I think Charles Goldman pointed that out on Twitter, too. I didn't even think about that. Like, it's in front of your people. It's a preseason game, right? Like, I can see that.
They interviewed him on the game, and, like, he's sitting there talking about how he won a high school state championship there.
Yeah.
He won a college national championship there despite Joe Burrow. And, like, I think he grew up in Baton Rouge or something like that. It's like
he has ties there.
He has
like
super
legitimate.
I wouldn't be like, I don't think they're featuring for him a trade. And like, there's a couple players if they were, I wish he had back. But
yeah,
he was home. Like, I don't know. I'm not looking too much into it. I will say, like, antennas up a little bit about the second year cornerbacks. Like, that doesn't seem like they're super thrilled with them. And so that's something worth monitoring to me. Corrender, why do we continue to react like we've never witnessed an Andy Reid coach preseason game before? I don't know, man. Like, I think it's way too many, like, strong, visceral reactions. Like, scheme-wise, play calling-wise, even execution, like, can be diminished by just being in the wrong look sometimes. And sometimes they're running into the wrong look just to see what happens. Like, they're not checking out of plays very much. They're lining up, they're calling plays, they're doing their thing. And I don't understand. Like, this is a process. This is a weird year. I get why it looked so clunky early, and I think Mahomes kind of got a better energy and enthusiasm for the rest of the group after he got taken out. So, like, that was at least good to see.
Yeah, I think so too. And like really, and the same thing in training camp sometimes when you put players in different spots. Sometimes it's not about, hey, let's see if this does work. It's like, hey, let's rule out that this definitely does not work. And let's see that this player doesn't belong in this situation or this personnel grouping. Like when you're running double defensive back blitzes on that third down or whatever, like they're trying stuff out and saying, okay, let's throw this at them. Let's throw this at them. And people were getting upset when it wasn't panning out exactly. I think that combined with, hey, they had the highest of highs in the Super Bowl, and it's been 5, 6, 7 months since they've played an organized game of football. Like after preseason week 2, I don't think it's going to be even like 30% as intense in terms of the reaction.
Derek in the mountains, best Microsoft Suite product: Word, Excel, Access, or PowerPoint? This is a great question.
I used Word a lot in high school. I used Word a lot in college, but like you can't do. It's Excel, right? Like that has to be it, I think, even if you don't use it a ton, just because of what you can do with it.
Big Excel guy. I'm a big Excel guy.
You seem like a big Excel guy.
I think, like, if I'm going to Maddie answer it a little bit, Word and Excel are essentially Google Docs and Google Sheets. Like they're near identical. So like Google has basically offered a free version of this. PowerPoint, their presentation on Google, like Access, also like, it might be the most, but like, I don't know. I'm an Excel guy. Kyle C., who is the Heisman dark horse this year and why is it KJ Jefferson? I'll fight on KJ Jefferson. I don't think it's KJ Jefferson. But anyways, what do you think, Jordy?
Do you have a list or do you just have one guy?
I have seen a list of some odds.
I did not find odds. So dark horse, what would the cutoff be for you? Like not in the top 5, not the top 10?
I need to double check what they are at DraftKings, but I will say Marvin Harrison's odds are very long.
Huh. Wow. I didn't even write him on my list. I had guys like Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr. I don't think he's really good.
He's a top 5 odds. So
is he really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Penix is. Jaden's like top 10, 11, 12.
Where's the Penn State quarterback at? Do you remember?
Drew Aller. He's top. He's kind of got similar. He's got similar Jaden Daniels odds.
How about a running back like Shipley from Clemson? Maybe.
I don't see him listed in this list. I think Marvin Harrison has very long odds. Like
that's crazy.
Over 40-1 on this particular book. DraftKings. I would have to check and see what they have as well. But yeah, there's some interesting odds out there for that. Okay, let's see here. I don't think KJ Jefferson's a dark horse. I don't think he can put it together consistently, and I don't think Arkansas is going to win enough football to make it happen. Like they'd probably have to go 11-1, something stupid like that, in order for KJ Jefferson to even be in consideration. Kay Gumminger asks, "What Costco advice would you give Jordan as a guy in his mid-20s?" Let's just set the stage. Jordan, what's your familiarity with Costco?
I went like twice as a kid. That was it.
Twice as a kid. So you've only been, okay.
Never made an adult trip inside that store. Not once.
How close do you live to a Costco?
15 minutes. Like if I had a membership, I wouldn't have any trouble getting out there.
Do you ever drive by a Costco? Like, does your drive take you near a Costco?
Not really, not particularly. Okay. Sam's Club, like out by the Legends, that's close to me.
No, that's not where I want to go with this because Costco is a clear step above Sam's Club. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second.
I'm disappointing anybody.
This is the first time I've ever heard that I'm in my mid-20s, and I am, but that just made me feel like very not great inside.
Oh, Jordy.
24 is your mid-20s, so like I can't dispute it. I'm not early 20s anymore.
I don't know how you're like facing your own mortality at 24 because the older I get, the more I realize 34 is still pretty young. So I'm sorry, like you're fine, buddy.
All right,
go open
Costco.
Up. Just go. Well, my first piece of advice: just go open a Roth IRA because you're so young, and you'll have so much time, and you'll have all kinds of money if you keep investing in that now. Your best asset is time, so let's just get it going there. That has nothing to do. Maybe Costco can help you set up a Roth because they can do everything else. For a youngster, they are the cheapest meal you could ever find. Still to this day, you can get, and as a 24-year-old, you can get a still $5, maybe $6 now. They haven't really raised the price much, if at all. An entire rotisserie chicken. A fresh hot rotisserie chicken just off the spinner thing for like it's either $5 or $6. So like you can and it doesn't like, so like you can make that last, few meals for sure.
Yeah.
And it's delicious meat and it's super cheap. That's a good one. You can get a pizza you can get a whole ginormous like 20-inch pizza for $10. You can get, I'm thinking more specific, like you're not going to be buying in bulk very often.
Well, I'm like salivating either way, so it doesn't matter whether it's in bulk or not.
Well, yeah, it's like I as a young person in their 20s, I don't foresee you buying things in bulk very much.
Yeah, not.
There's some things you probably could, like you can find some beverages at a very cheap price there if you so choose. The pizza, I don't even think you have to be a Costco member. You just walk in, order one of their pizzas, and walk out for $9.99. It's a ginormous pizza. They have a hot dog, a foot-long hot dog, and a drink. It's still like $1.50.
So what you're telling me is we're going to make a trip, and you're going to teach me about Costco.
I think the problem is the only time we do lunches are at like a delicious barbecue joints, and I don't want to. Like, I respect Costco's game, but like they can't provide me what I want from my
out of the lunch
dining experience. Yeah. When you compare it to like one of our barbecue joints, but you can find very well-priced, extremely well-priced meals at Costco that will satisfy you. So yeah. Let's take a break. That's a good place to end. We're gonna answer more football questions right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
What's good, everybody? It is Ben Heisler from Benny and the Bets here on KCSN. And if you are ready to go the distance and improve your golf game like I am in the process of doing, I want you to head on over to PXG right here in Kansas City and take the PXG Gen 6 Driver Challenge. They are confident in the Gen 6 that they're putting their money where their mouth is. If their Gen 6 driver does not deliver more distance, more carry and roll, higher dispersion compared to your current driver when you go in for a fitting, they got you covered with a $100 MasterCard reward card. That's it. Go in for a driver fitting, see if your driver is up to their driver, and if it is, you get a $100 MasterCard reward card in the process. This is an unbelievable opportunity to upgrade your game with a custom fit PXG fitting. I've had it at the Kansas City store with Alex. It was one of the great experiences I've had in a golf fitting, period. So take the PXG Gen 6 driver all throughout the month of August and get ready to hit those fairways with confidence. So visit your local Kansas City store or head on over to pxg.com for all the terms and conditions. PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Just DRK asks, Jordy, who is cornerback 5? And I think, like, if we're looking through the cornerbacks, we're assuming Jalen Watson, L'Jarius Sneed, Joshua Williams, and Trent McDuffie. So, number 5, interesting question.
Probably still Nick Jones, depending on how severe his injury is. And on Sunday, Andy Reid didn't really have anything on it. I think Tuesday, I believe, is the first time he'll speak this week after practice. So potentially something then. Echo Boydo, maybe the next in line. I know DiCaprio Boodle is still there. Khalif the Thief Hilassi is still there. Probably Nick Jones, though. And I know that's a cop-out. I'm guessing he could probably club his hand up and play week 1 if he had to. CB5's not going to get a ton of snaps anyway. It's more of a special teams based role, I would assume. But Nick Jones, based on what they were using him in camp and early in that game, I'm going to still stick with him, I think.
I think it's still Nick Jones until we know something else. I think Echo Boydo might be a super strong practice squad candidate unless he's really impressing on special teams. And it's just like you even heard some of the comments on the broadcast. It's like I wish he put on a little weight. I wish, there's some question marks about his weight there. There's no questions about Khalif Halaisi's weight. I mean, this is a well-built cornerback. Physically looks the part. I am paying big attention to that guy because I think, I'm very intrigued. How high do you think Justin Ross can ascend this year, Jordy?
Whiteout 5. Like he's not going to. I think before the hype train started, which I mean it's kind of been going for quite a while, but before the training camp started, I was like, okay, if he gives you Sky Moore level production, if he makes the team first and foremost, it's a success based on what he's been through, based on everything. That is a great first step. But if he gave you 250 receiving yards, I think that would be a pretty decent success for him, considering he has Sky Moore, MVS, Tony, probably Justin Watson, maybe Richie James above him on the depth chart, Rashid Rice above him on the depth chart. Like, it's kind of similar to the role, or I guess the boat that Moore was in last year, and that it was a numbers game. He has a good understanding of what's going on. He's so talented, and he gives them something that a Sky Moore can't give them, really. You can isolate him, and he can be a mismatch against opposing cornerbacks, especially if you're throwing doubles at someone like Travis Kelce. But all that to say, because it's a numbers game, because we're still kind of talking about is he a shoe-in for the roster or not, he probably isn't going to soar too high in 2023.
Active roster is also going to be an uphill battle for him on game day because special teams value, like that's always going to be something that he's going to have to be navigating. So it's going to be tricky. I think 250, I think that's a great line. If he can find some offensive production and just kind of show that like the arrow's still pointing up and all that, like just continue. Like, I think Justin Ross's career arc might be like, hey, we like Justin Ross enough that we are cool moving on from Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And, some of these guys, we don't feel the need to bring Richie James back next year. Like, there is a slow ascent into more relevancy as his career goes on, but I think it might be a little tricky just from a construction perspective and like special teams and some of those things where maybe he's not this giant, fixture year one. If he is great, like that's insane and awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, look, we loved him coming out. So like, we loved him coming out of college. It'd be really fun to have him, but it's still gonna be an uphill battle. Corinder, you're going up to the International Space Station for 1 year and are allowed to bring only one bottle of barbecue sauce with you due to weight limits. Choose your sauce.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Off the top of your mind. Go ahead.
All right. So Night of the Living sauce from Joe's is up there, and in a normal circumstance, it's always going to be in the conversation. I think the answer is Womp sauce from Meat Mitch.
I still haven't had Meat Mitch. We've talked about this, though.
We need to get out there.
Yeah.
It's a more friendly sauce where like Night of the Living sauce is spicy. It's Joe's spicy sauce. Womp is just good on everything, not a ton of heat, so like it'll work well. I'm going to use this opportunity though to tell you that there is a barbecue sauce that has been growing on me and I never thought I'd be into it. But Chef Jay has a mustard-based sauce that I love. Like, it is so good. It is great with like when they do their smoked sausages, that mustard-based barbecue sauce and smoked sausage, it is so good. It is climbing up the ranks very quickly. Still want sauce from me. Meat Mitch for me though.
I'm fully exposing my lack of versatility in my barbecue game.
Just don't say like
growing up
masterpiece.
Sweet Baby Ray's, like that's still one of those like, hey, I'm at the grocery store, this is one of the big names I recognize type deals, but I was basically raised on that stuff. I didn't go out and have barbecue a ton, but that is what I would use. Now, if I had to pick like, hey, I'm going out to this place and I want to get barbecue sauce, that mustard base is like up there. Like
so good.
We were both skeptical and we kind of like looked at it and we're like, whatever, we'll try it. And it was actually absolute fire. Like it was really, really good.
We have like 3 different Sweet Baby Rays in our fridge right now.
Okay.
Our family consumes a lot of Sweet Baby Rays at home. It's always like,
I'm glad that wasn't a terrible pick.
No, it's a good pick, and they have some diversity too. Like my kid loves it too. Like that's like one of his favorites. Lee 87. This is a good one. This is a Royals question. So, after the recent improvements of the Royals, how excited and what are the chances you'd give for them doing a double championship within one calendar year of each other?
Next to 0% for the championship thing. I'm just gonna say, hey, maybe a -%.
Are you excited? Are you excited about the recent improvements?
I just don't know if they're improvements, right? I mean, they've last year they had a month or two where they were playing 500, slightly above 500 ball. Other than that, it was bad. Then they started off so bad this year, dug themselves into a crazy hole. I've been accused of on the One Royal Way podcast here on KC Sports Network, by the way, for us being an optimistic show that leans that everything is good. I don't think so. I think that the Royals are what they are. They're one of the worst teams in ball, but they do have Bobby Witt Jr., who's emerged. They do have Maikel Garcia, who's a fun piece. The pitching rotation shows some promise a little bit. Brady Singer sometimes, Cole Reagan is fun. Yeah, like this year was supposed to be they make a step to like 72 wins or whatever. If they did that next year, that'd be a pretty massive improvement. It's not completely out of the question, but like they're still multiple years away from making a playoff push. That's kind of where you have to put the pause button on, I think.
This team, the Royals have been doing this my whole life where they're terrible up until mid-ish August most of the time. And then they finish strong in September. And then it's always one guy gets really hot at September. And then the storyline heading into off season is Royals and Hunter Dozier hope to build off their success in September as for next year. And it's the same cycle. They're terrible to start the season. And then late in the year, they play well. They give you some hope. And some of these young guys start showing some promise. And they always start slow. Like, this is a cycle I've been through my whole life. That being said, there are pieces, like their infield. I like what they have in their infield. Mm-hmm. I think I'd trade Salvi. I'd move on from Salvi and get what I can for him. There's some, and let Freddie Fermini. And then, like, there are some interesting arms that are starting to show some things. Like, and hey, some of the it's a small sample size and it's instant gratification, but some of the trades they made,
they haven't been that bad.
Yeah, been that bad.
Yeah,
just saying,
they're yielding good results. I have a quick follow up. So, I think the answer is always yes. Is the championship worth 20? Whatever the amount of years, I think it's always worth it. A lot of people say no. I think it's always yes.
People don't realize the Royals are like the only small market team in the last 15 years at least to actually win a World Series.
Yes. Like you get the Cardinals crap all the time for like all these teams that think they're this prestigious historic franchise. Like the Royals have more success than a lot of them in the past 10 years. They have better success, as much success. Like it's always worth it because the odds were so far stacked against them. It doesn't matter how bad they are after that or for how long, because that's the highest high you'll ever get.
The Royals did something in my life I never thought I'd see, and they rewarded me for the loyalty of my childhood to a team that was horrendous for most of my life. And I sobbed, Jordy, just days of just like aftershock sobbing where it was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. And I probably will never experience it again in my life. Probably won't. And that's okay, because you can't take that away from me. You can't take away the most magical 2 years. I will say it would be fun to experience playoff baseball again, because there is nothing, maybe not, I don't know if I can handle it in my 30s. There is nothing more stressful, antagonizing, and ruthless than living pitch to pitch in a baseball game.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's bad.
It is so hard. It is just so hard. Oh man. Let's keep it on here. Biggs, if the money is the same, would you rather bring back Carlos Dunlap or Melvin Ingram to bolster the pass rush?
Dunlap. The length he can offer, he can bat passes down, he plays better run defense. They're both 34. Ingram had 2 more sacks, I think. Like it was 6 versus 4, 6.5, 4.5, whatever it was. Like I'd still go Dunlap, I think, just because the familiarity is roughly the same, but like this iteration of the defense, Dunlap's more familiar with. The other things he can offer is a more complete defensive end. I'm going to lean him, although it's not like a slight on Melvin Ingram at all.
I think Melvin Ingram, they've had chances to grab him and they haven't and sign him. So like, I'm not saying like things ended badly or anything. Like they found someone that fits better for them at this juncture in their career, and it was Dunlap. Moneyish asks, with Nick Jones having broken some of his fingers, if he's out for the season, if they don't let him play, do you think that would free up space to carry 7 wide receivers? I think they'll find 7. I think if they want to carry 7, it won't be because of Nick Jones. They'll be finding it in the tight end room or the quarterback room or the offensive line room. I think that's the places that you might see them, try to find some space. Tucker asks, if there will be more Mizzou or Kansas alums on the final roster.
So I thought Tucker was just being an ass and meant Kansas State. I'm going to answer either way. Daniel Wise, I think, is a Jayhawk, right? He went to KU.
And
he's not going to make the team.
And I think he's not making the team.
So, Gabbert and Bolton are obviously going to make it. Whether Blanton does or not,
locked.
Even if the answer is K-State, it's FAU and probably not Boyd. Like, it's going to be Mizzou and Tucker. I hope you're happy hearing that because they're going to have 2 guys from Mizzou on the team to start the year.
Which available defensive lineman has Cullen worked with who can come in and contribute if needed? I don't think there's like a ton of guys out there that Dunlap.
Carlos Dunlap. Brandon Williams is out there.
It's the guy.
That's about it.
The guys you're running back. But I don't know, man. I don't know if they're going to bring in a vet. I like these young guys. I like them letting the room kind of play out. So I don't know. Anything else for that?
There was a guy, I think he was a Pittsburgh free agent. He played in Baltimore a few years ago. Wormley? That's a real player, right? Chris
Wormley? Yeah.
I think that sounds like a guy, and I'm pretty sure he's a free agent. So, like, that's not a ringing endorsement of like, oh, the Chiefs should go sign this guy, but technically
hard-hitting news. It's right there. I love it.
He's hashtag a real person.
Chris Meyer asks, what is one fan amenity you want added if Arrowhead is renovated and it can't be the roof?
I have no clue. I'll let you handle this one.
I think it's the roof. But I think like Green Bay kind of built this thing called Titletown, which is kind of like it's like it's its own thing where people come visit and people come hang, and it doesn't have to. It's like it makes that area a little bit more year round. I think that would be a fun ad. I think that'd be something that'd be kind of cool to have. So some kind of like district surrounding the new Arrowhead. I think that would be pretty cool. Mike Denny, which is more likely, the current makes the playoffs or they win the Challenge Cup?
Well, they're in the semifinals of the Challenge Cup, and I believe it's like September 6th is the next game, and I think they're in 12th place out of 12 teams in the regular season standings. I could be wrong on that. I'm going with the Challenge Cup because they made progress there. They're not making a ton of progress. Like, coming into the year, this was going to be a team that was going to allegedly finish like top 2, top 3, and potentially win the whole thing. Has not been the case. So I'll go with the Challenge Cup just because they've made a much bigger dent in that than they have made in the normal regular season.
I think it could be an opportunity to use the Challenge Cup as a springboard to finish strong, though, and who knows what happens.
True.
From there. But yeah, I think they position themselves well to kind of, to win the Challenge Cup, and maybe they'll pull that off, and maybe that kind of sparks some things for them. I think that'd be pretty awesome. I think I'll be out there in September, actually. So I'm excited.
I'm excited for the new stadium. Dude, that's going to be so fun.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Like, just some of the renderings and stuff, and seeing like it's getting out there. It's pretty awesome. Just DRK, after seeing a slimmed down Danny Shelton, does Keandre Coburn feel less safe? Ask me after this game, this upcoming game, because like I feel like this is kind of like I said this on the live. I think it's a little bit rank and file, like veterans getting opportunities earlier in the game, give them that kind of like that nod and honor, and then we'll see some things shake up after that. I will say this though, Danny Shelton, he showed some things that it's worth at least paying attention to with him. So I am excited to see him kind of growing up there. Duncan England. Who do you think wins the Big 12 football title this year, Jordy?
I'm not saying Kansas State. I'm not gonna give them but they could end up messing around and winning it. I'm not gonna say Kansas as a KU guy, even though I do think the Jayhawks, like we've had this conversation with KU as a brief aside, they could be a better team and have the same record or maybe even lose one more game, which sucks. I know that's not answering the question, but like that's my analysis for Kansas football teams in the state. I don't have a pick. I can't.
Hook 'em.
I could see that. The hype actually might be legit this year.
I think Texas. I think it'll probably be Texas. Yeah. I think Texas.
Good pick.
Last one, Bruce in the Fort. You can time travel to one concert. What would it be?
Elvis. Probably.
Ooh, like
I kind of like Elvis
show,
like the one where he came back, like one of those Vegas shows where he was playing like 13 nights and like whatever it was, where he was just emptying the tank every single night, and he had the residency there. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe the night where he went off on his manager. Like I watched the movie. I don't know if that's actually how it went down, but seeing him live, Michael Jackson may be a close second. Like when he first unleashed the moonwalk, that'd be pretty cool. Those are probably my top two.
What might be my favorite album ever is John Mayer's live album from like 2007 in LA. It was the Where the Light Is tour. He played Free Fall on acoustic and broke the world with it. That was like it was a very important album for me, and I'd want to go see that. Also, and then, I could say, go see Queen at the Live Aid or what all that stuff. But like, my bucket list album or my bucket list band to see right now, like there's one band on my bucket list right now, and it's Wolfpack. And so like they played Madison Square Garden last year. I would love to go see Wolfpack play before, they cease to exist or whatever. Like they got time. Like don't get me wrong, they're 30s, 40s, but yeah. That's my like bucket list band right now, and they've done some really sick live shows too. So that's it. But yeah, that is going to do it for 21 questions. Thank you everyone for hanging out. Thank you to Jordy Foote for jumping on with me. Thank you to Tucker Franklin for producing behind the scenes. We'll catch you later.